that do? What does the closing of the potassium phenylate gates do?
Increase heart rate.
Increases heart rate. That's exactly right. So it sparks more action potentials per minute, which causes more heartbeats per minute. So we know that closing the potassium phenylate gates more often causes heart rate to go up. Now that means the ventricles are squeezing more often, which means it's pushing more blood per minute into the arteries. And I told you that the milliliters of blood ejected per minute is cardiac output. So if the ventricles are squeezing more often, pushing more blood into the arteries per minute, that means cardiac output goes up. And anytime there is more blood in the arteries, what happens to blood pressure? Goes up. So the increase in blood in the arteries, or we could say the increase of cardiac output, causes blood pressure to go up. And then let's look back here. I just told you when heart rate goes up, cardiac output goes up. And when cardiac output goes up, blood pressure goes up. That's where those equations are coming into play. So you have epi and norepi, and they're binding to those beta receptors on the potassium phenylate gates, causing those gates to close more times per minute, sparking more action potentials per minute, which results in more heartbeats per minute. The more the ventricles are squeezing, the more blood they're ejecting into the arteries, so we say that's an increase in cardiac output. The more blood in the arteries, the higher the blood pressure. So when cardiac output goes up, blood pressure is going to go up. So if your patient is coming in and they've been in that automobile accident and you think they're bleeding internally and their blood pressure is low, what do you expect their pulse is going to be? It's going to be slow, or is it going to be fast? This whole reason that we're talking about this is because we want an increase in blood pressure. This guy's blood pressure is low. And what the body needs to do is to raise the blood pressure somehow, get that blood pressure back up, because I told you blood pressure helps to circulate the blood through the system. If you can't have a higher blood pressure, you can't have blood flow. You can't have blood flow, you're going to die. So the reason that all of this is occurring is to help get the blood pressure back up. Now, of course, there's a problem. We're putting more blood into his arteries, and he's got a leak. So it's probably not going to work very well. But what I would suspect is heart rate is high. Your heart rate, when it increases your blood pressure. So some people, they're under a lot of stress, smoke a lot, drink a lot of caffeine, these things increase heart rate. And because they increase heart rate, they increase blood pressure. And having an increase of blood pressure, we've already talked about this, is bad. Why is it bad to have an increase in blood pressure? What's at least one thing that could happen? Stroke. Okay? Something's gonna pop. Like too much air in your tire, something's gonna pop. And stroke can happen. Okay? So we don't want blood pressure to be too high. So some people, because of either disease or because of lifestyle, they may have too high of a blood pressure. So now what you're going to do is you're going to prescribe a beta blocker. And what happens is this medicine will bind to the beta receptors on your potassium phenylketonuclease, and epi and norepi can't bind. And if they can't bind, heart rate will go down, which will also help your patient's blood pressure to go down. Because drinking a lot of caffeine, it helps, it's kind of like epi and norepi, it can stimulate heart rate. And so if we can get their heart rate down, it will help to get their blood pressure down and help your patient to be more healthy for a longer period of time. Any questions about any of this? Yes, because it slows heart rate. So if heart rate goes up, blood pressure goes up. If heart rate goes down, blood pressure goes down. Now here's a weird thing. If I'm out of shape and I decide I'm going to start exercising, you know when you exercise, heart rate starts to go up. And because I'm out of shape, my blood pressure will also go up. So I could say, oh, I shouldn't exercise because it's bad for my health, because it makes my blood pressure go up, and high blood pressure is not good, right? Well, over time, if I keep doing it, it actually makes my arteries healthier, and it makes my sympathetic nervous system healthier. And when you start to exercise, your arteries will actually relax, and they'll get a little bit larger. Even though heart rate will go down, up, which it does, heart rate will go up, blood pressure will not change. So people who have exercised for longer periods of time and they're in better shape, they actually don't see any change in blood pressure, even though their heart rate is up. Any questions? No? We're good? Okay, let's take a 15-minute break, and then we're going to come back and talk about peripheral resistance.